Welcome back to Rocky Mountain Gardens, my friends. And if you're new here, my name is Mary, and I garden in Zone 4 in Colorado. And guys, today is my very first gardening video for 2021. We're going to be talking about hostas. Now, I did about a year ago, I did a really wonderful, well, to me, it was wonderful video sharing information in what I called were secrets about hosta growing to grow healthy and large hostas. And that was a well-received video, but I had many questions about hostas in that, down in the comments about that video. So I thought I'd make a video here early in the season and answer some of those questions. Now, one of the most frequently asked questions was about, can I grow hostas in the sun? And what are some hostas that do well there in the sun? Basically, hostas are known for people who have, large trees, a lot of shade, and they're wondering, what can I plant that will grow under trees and in very dark, shady areas? You probably know this already. So hostas are considered shade plants, and actually most hostas do require shade. They cannot tolerate much sun, but the glory of hostas is that you can add color to a very dark part of your garden with hosta plants. So I think that's kind of a generally known fact. But let's get back to, can hostas grow in the sun? Well, the plain fact is that hostas really do not like very strong sunlight. So I'm going to be sharing with you some photos here of hostas that are called sun tolerant. But I have to tell you that this means that they can take some sun, and really, especially if you live at high altitude like I do, or further south where you get those blistering, hot, sunny, the sun's just bearing down on the earth, baking everything. These hostas that are sun tolerant really can take morning sun, because morning sun, as you probably imagine, is not as strong and intense. So if you have a spot in your garden that gets morning sun, but later is covered by dappled shade or maybe full shade, that's a place where you could plant a sun-tolerant hosta. Now here, let's take a look at some pictures of some sun-tolerant hostas. The first one we're going to look at is called Aphrodite. And Aphrodite grows about 15 inches tall and 18 inches wide. So it actually is a smaller sized hosta when it reaches its maturity and is at its full size. The lovely thing about Aphrodite is that its flowers are very fragrant, which leads me into a little digression. Hostas, one of my questions that I received multiple times also was, can I buy hostas that have fragrance? There are some hostas that do have fragrance, and Aphrodite is one of them. Now, not all hostas flowers have any scent at all, but Aphrodite is one. So if you're looking for sun tolerant and with some fragrance, Aphrodite might be the hosta for you, and it is a smaller hosta. Here's a good one called Sun Power. Now, Sun Power grows up to 28 inches tall and 60 inches wide. So it is a very large hosta at maturity. what I like about Sun Power, it has a difference in its leaves being very curly. And you know, hostas do offer us varying colors and shapes of their leaves, which adds interest into your garden. So if you like a curly leaf look, go for Sun Power. Next, we have a hosta called Fragrant Bouquet. Now, this hosta grows 20 inches tall and 47 inches wide. Now, again, these are approximate sizes when they are full grown. But of course, you can tell by the name of this hosta, Fragrant Bouquet, that it is very fragrant. The flowers are. And so again, if you're looking for fragrance, this is one for you. Another sun-tolerant hosta is Guacamole. Here's a picture, and Guacamole grows 18 inches tall and 30 inches wide. This, you might say, is a medium-sized hosta at its full size. One of the most famous hostas that I'll show you a picture of here is called Sum and Substance. Now, Sum and Substance is what is called a giant hosta. It can grow 3 feet tall and 6 feet wide at maturity. It is quite large. So if you want a sun-tolerant hosta and you have a large space that you want to fill in, you could try Sum and Substance. Now, if you're looking for a small hosta, try Sun Mouse. It only gets 6 inches tall and 12 inches wide. So this is a hosta that you could put more toward the front of a garden bed because it will not overtake, you know, in the front. The size will not overtake anything growing behind it and allow anything that you have, bushes or whatever behind it, to be visible once it grows to its full size. So here are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 types of hostas that you can purchase that are, again, only sun tolerant, because if you plant them in full sun and they get full sun the entire day, you will probably find that the edges are turning brown and crispy. And that means, of course, that they are getting too much sun and it is literally baking your hosta. So you have planted it in the wrong place, and therefore it needs to be in an area where it gets full sun. It gets sun only in the morning and then gets a sort of a respite from that heat and just super strong afternoon sun by the shade moving in your yard, you know, and it's being covered and giving sort of a rest from that really strong midday sun. All right. Now, guys, I've been talking about sizes of hosta, and this is super important for you to understand and pay attention to. When I first started purchasing hostas for my garden, and I was more of a beginner gardener, I would go to the store and I would see, oh, this is a pretty hosta. I'm just going to buy it and plant it in my garden. Never giving a care about, you know, how big is this hosta going to grow? Is it going to stay small? And, you know, for example, I have one garden, I have one hosta in my garden that is a teeny tiny hosta. And of course I bought it because I thought it was pretty, and it is a miniature hosta, and it never gets bigger than 6 inches tall and 6 inches wide. It's teeny tiny. So it doesn't fill up the space that I had purchased it for, unfortunately. But, you know, I still help it to stay healthy in my garden, but it isn't a spectacular size that I was thinking I was getting when I bought it. So let's take a look at plant tags. I have two plant tags here, and these are things that I, as a beginning gardener, again, I didn't pay a lot of attention to. I might look at the picture on the tag, but I really didn't read it carefully. And so I want to urge you to take advantage of what you can learn from these tags. So let's take a look at this one. I'm going to put an enlarged photo of it here on the screen for you so that you can read it with me. These tags are really important and will be so helpful for you. So we're going to look at this Blue Angel Hosta tag. And Blue Angel, of course, it has solid leaves, as you can see here in the picture, that are a dark blue color. And Blue Angel, it says right on the tag, we're looking at the back of the tag now, average size. This is one of your important pieces of information. 3 feet high to 4 feet wide. So as you can see, when this hosta grows to its mature size, it is going to be quite large and fill up a very large space. Therefore, it is, needed to be, you need to consider the size when you are planting it in your garden and where you're going to place it. It should be maybe more toward the back of a bed because it will be growing so huge. Also, it tells you to keep it moist for the first year, 2 inches of water per week. The spacing is 3 to 4 feet. So it means you must allow 3 to 4 feet around the hosta to allow for its growth. Its cold hardiness is -30 to -40 degrees. It is not hardy in zones 1 to 2. So lots of information on a plant tag, and really I suggest you be very, very careful and read those plant labels, because it will really help you when you're choosing the hosta for your garden. Okay, so some of my favorites, because I did get requests to show more photographs and names of hostas. These are some of the hostas now that I have actually planted in my garden and had success with, and they are not really difficult to find. So you may have to go to a local nursery to find them, but they are, a little bit easier to find, more common, but still offer that beauty you want in your garden. So let's take a look at a hosta called Francis Williams first. This is a large hosta. It grows 2 feet tall by 4 feet wide. And what I like about it, it has these yellow edges, which give interest to, the coloration that you have in your shade. Next picture I'd like to share with you is one of my favorite hostas. It is called Patriot. And Patriot is a medium-sized hosta. It grows 18 inches tall by 2.5 feet maximum for its width. I love Patriot because it has white on the edges. So you get a variation in color in your shade areas. Another really pretty hosta that has been easy for me to find is called Paul's Glory. Now, Paul's Glory is a very large hosta too. It grows 2 feet tall by 4 feet wide. And Paul's Glory is different, as you can see here in the picture, because it has yellow in the centers. So you can see these different variations: yellow edges, yellow centers, white edges, all add interest to your shady areas. The next one we're going to see is called Curly Fries. I just love this little hosta. It is so cute with its thin leaves, and as you can see, the leaves are very curly, and I just love the way it's just an entirely different textural effect for your shady area. And curly fries grows about 6 inches tall and about 16 inches wide. So it is, as I said, it's a smaller hosta that you can plant in the front of your shade bed and just add that really cute interest. Now for blue colors. These blue ones can, and all blue hostas should be in pretty much full shade. Their leaves easily get burnt by the sun. So they can take some dappled shade, but they can tolerate full shade too. So if you have a really dark area of your garden where the shade is so, just solid, these blue hostas are good for that space. Blue Angel is a large hosta as well. It grows 2 feet tall by 4 feet wide. And this is the one that we saw that I used the plant tag for to show you. It takes full shade and it is a really pretty blue color, bluish green. And I really like that contrast with the other hostas that I mentioned above. And all of my favorite hostas that I talked about, the Francis Williams, Patriot, Paul's Glory, Curly Fries, all of them are shade. They must be in at least dappled shade in order to survive, you could say. And then for a really cute little hosta that I simply adore, try blue mouse ears. This is another blue colored hosta, and the little leaves look like little mouse ears. They're so cute. It can grow 1 foot tall by 1 foot wide, and also requires full shade. And again, now like Curly Fries, this is another hosta that you can plant in the front of your shade area to give you a very nice, cute little hostas in the front with the larger hostas behind. Does well and is perfect for shade. Adding that really, like I said, the contrast between the green and yellow and white colored hostas that have the variation in the leaves, whereas Blue Angel and Blue Mouse Ears both are solid colored leaves, as you saw in the pictures. Now, another one that you could try that I have found I just love is called Regal Splendor. Regal Splendor is another interesting, very large hosta, which is 4 feet tall by 3 feet wide. So this one actually gets taller than its width. And it has these thin yellow edges that you can see here, and it likes full shade as well. So from these hostas that I've shared with you today, you have 2 lists. You have a list of sun-tolerant hostas and a list of hostas that need shade. And the sun hostas, you might have noticed, tend to be solid, sort of chartreuse, yellowish green leaves. That's a good indicator in your hosta shopping that this is a hosta that can tolerate some sun. Remember, morning sun. And then the variegated leaf varieties that I shared with you, as well as the solid blues, require shade. And that's just a good tip for you. Blue-leafed hostas must have shade. Yellow and chartreuse hosta leaves can tolerate some sun. And then those variegated ones with yellow centers, yellow edges, white edges, and so on, those all take more shade. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. I wanted to put it out early so that before you go shopping, you have some tips to help you with your choices when you're in the nursery or, even at Lowe's. Because you might have noticed on my tag, the Blue Angel tag, that I did get that at Lowe's. And guys, I have been able to find pretty good quality hostas at Lowe's in my area anyway. And I think, like I said, for more unusual hostas like the curly fries, I had to go to my local nursery. But of course, I do like to support my local nursery as much as possible to shop there and help out our local businesses. So everybody, I hope this was helpful for you, and keep this video in mind when you do your shopping for plants a little bit later this spring. And guys, I will be following up in March with another video about Hosta care to answer more questions from my first Hosta video. And be sure, guys, to watch that first video before you go out and plant, because you will find some really excellent tips that will help you with your Hosta care. And guys, also lastly, I just want to caution you, don't get upset if you plant your Hosta and it doesn't grow very much the first year. Because we always say in gardening that when you plant a perennial, the first year, it just is getting settled in the new home that you created for it. It is getting its roots, really focusing on the roots, growing those roots and really getting established. The second year, it will start to grow more. And the third year, oftentimes, especially with a flowering perennial, that's when you get a flush of beautiful flowers for your perennial. So give it time. And also that mature size that I was talking about takes years to attain. It doesn't happen in 1 year or 2 years. And with the right care, your hosta can achieve that full size that it is estimated to grow. So we'll talk more about that in my next hosta video in March. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking with me through this rather long video, and I will see you again in March for more hostas.